this webinar, you will learn to improve academically by understanding different factors of academic success. You will also understand what motivation is and what motivates us, set up SMART goals, and cope with online study. And with that, I would like to start the presentation. Please enjoy.
Hi everyone. Today we are going to be discussing how to achieve academic success. That is our topic for today. What is academic success? Often as students, you've asked yourself that question. Is it only limited to grades? Or the meaning goes beyond just grades and academic performance? Could it be developmental, as in focus only on academic development, or could be extended to academic, emotional, and social needs? A holistic approach is required when it comes to educating students so that post-tertiary education, students are able to adapt to any environment. So it becomes imperative not only to limit what your understanding of academic success is, so that even after you're graduated, even when you get into the work environment, you are still able to use some of the understanding of academic success into that sphere, into that space. So let's move into defining academic success. What is the definition of academic success? Academic success can be best defined as being able to attain a specific grade point average. For others, it is being able to achieve or procure a successful career, while others are of the opinion that it is being able to gain admission to a particular course when applying for a tertiary program. Every individual has their ways of defining academic success according to their own perspective of what academic success is. Remember, when it comes to academics, we don't all have the same goal. So my view of academic success is definitely going to be different to that of my fellow students. My approach to academic success, maybe as a high school learner, could be different to a university student. As a university student, you find that my understanding of academic success is only limited to grades. So that's why it becomes important for individuals to be able to define and understand academic success according to their own perspective, according to their own view. Academic success should be viewed as a transformative experience. This shouldn't be limited to only test results or academic experience. I mean, by academic experience, I mean the entire experience as you see it, as you experience it, as you interact with it on a daily basis on a campus environment. A lot of factors could be encompassed in understanding and defining academic success for students, not only be limited to grades. I mean, at the end of the day, you are going to graduate. At the end of the day, you are going to get into a working environment. What does your understanding of academic success or your definition of academic success thereof in a university environment mean for you? When you get good grades, does that mean that's academic success for you? Or when you have a holistic approach, being understanding further than just grades could be your definition of academic success? Let's move into understanding academic success. How you as an individual understand academic success according to your goals, according to what you set out for yourself. It is imperative for students to understand what academic success means to them. Every single person's understanding and expectation of academic success isn't similar, as I mentioned before. One needs to develop their own understanding, obviously, based on their aspirations. What are your aspirations? What does it mean in conjunction with your aspirations? It does take a combination of the following skills, motivation being one of them. How you get motivated as a student in a university environment, considering things get tough at times. Concentration, when in lecture halls or when you're sitting in your room doing assignments or studying for texts, what's your concentration, organization? How do you organize your work? Prioritization and time management for one to achieve this. We will now move into the skills needed to achieve academic success. Prioritization. How do I prioritize my work when I have a lot of work on the table at the time. How do I prioritize? How do I take time to look at which one takes priority 1 and which one takes priority 2? It becomes important in understanding that, so that the path you're going to forge going forward as a student becomes the one that is manageable for you. What works for me does not necessarily work for another person. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach where, as one student, or if we are in a group as friends, what applies to my friend will definitely apply for me. It doesn't work like that. Same with concentration. Some people have a low span concentration. Some people have a high span of concentration. So me and my friend will not definitely have the same concentration span. How do you encompass that when you're planning for academic success? If my concentration span is limited, is very low, how do I make use of that understanding to further make myself go ahead? How do I incorporate that into my studying? How do I incorporate that into achieving academic success that I set out for myself? Let's go to number 3. It is organization. How do I organize my work? Because you have to be able to organize your work so that you are able to manage everything. If your work is not organized, if you don't have a schedule, for instance, that you follow, you understand this is what I need to do at this time. Because sometimes you might get a whole lot of work in a short space of time. How do you get organized so that you are able to live up to, your student role? You are able to live up to all the tasks, and you are able to deliver on time on everything that is required of you as a student. And there's again the most important part, I think, in my opinion, which is time management. Because if you do not manage your time well as a student, chances of you not being able to deliver, chances of you not being able to do what is expected of you as a student becomes higher. So time management is important, but it is even more important after drafting a plan, to still be able to live up to the plan. I can have a schedule. This is my time management plan. But having a schedule there on the wall and you actually executing and following the schedule are two different things. How do you, after drafting a schedule, live up to the point that you honor all that you have on a time slot? If I have to study at 8 o'clock, I can't say, no, today let me study at 10 o'clock. And then what happens in the 2 hours? Because the moment you waste 2 hours on nothing, it's going to catch up with you at a later stage. So it becomes important and imperative to make sure that every single time as a student, when you have a time management plan, you honor it, you live up to it, to the T. That gives you an opportunity to breathe, because at times you are able to attend to work, you are able to finish work rather on time and still have maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes to breathe. That also goes a long way. Not have to do everything after the other, because you get exhausted, isn't it? So then let's move to responsibility. Am I a responsible student? By a responsible student, it means you are able to acknowledge, you are able to recognize, and still be able to say if you made a mistake, or if maybe, say for instance, you failed a test, you are able to take responsibility for your work. You are able to take responsibility for your actions. When I get low mark, I'm not going to blame my lecturer for not doing enough work. I'm not going to blame my friend for taking me out or for visiting me at 9 o'clock in the morning while studying. You need to be able to get into those spaces and say, hey, I got 50%. It is the lack of studying that gave me 50%. It is because I did not take enough time to invest in my work, to, if I don't understand a question or if I don't understand something within my work, go to my lecturer, go to my friends, consult, do all that I need to do so that I'm able to get to the next level. Taking responsibility for your work, taking responsibility for every action that you make, taking responsibility for taking the next step for consultation if at some point your work becomes too much, for instance, if maybe you don't understand something that was done in the class, you taking responsibility and initiative to go the extra mile becomes your responsibility. It doesn't become anybody else's responsibility. Resilience. Often enough, things are not going to go our way when it comes to our schoolwork. Sometimes I study hard, the results becomes low. Sometimes I study too hard, I'm envisioning 90% and I get maybe 50%. Resilience becomes important in those situations, in those spaces, even when there's a lot of work to do, even when results don't come your way. You don't sulk. You sit down, you reflect, then you decide, okay, this is where I went wrong, this is what I should do. Building resilience becomes important. You don't let a 40%, demoralize you to a point where you start neglecting your books, you start doing all of that. No, it becomes an opportunity to reflect. It becomes an opportunity to go rectify your mistakes. It becomes an opportunity for you to understand that maybe the way or the manner in which I approached the paper in a test or in an assignment wasn't the right way. How do I understand it better? How do I improve next time so that my results becomes different? What is it that I do? But in you doing that, in you having that kind of thinking, it also builds in turn resilience, because you are not going to be knocked down easily. You will forever have a positive attitude. You will ever have a good approach into your studies so that you are able to get results that ultimately are going to benefit you. This is it. This is the end of my part. Thank you very much. I will then hand over to my colleague who will talk about motivation. Thank you.
Hi students, I'm Salome Smith and I work at Student Counselling Services on the Potchefstroom campus. Today I'm going to talk to you about motivation. So we're going to look at what is motivation, what motivates us, SMART goals, and coping with online studying. So firstly, what is motivation? Motivation is a reason for someone's actions and decisions. It's a reason for us to do something or to act in a certain way. It's the driving force behind what we want to achieve and how we are going to achieve that. So it's what pushes you towards achieving your goals and getting what you want. We get different types of motivation. Extrinsic motivation is a type of motivation that comes from outside of yourself. It's an external motivator. This can be things like money, grades, fame, or praise. Then we also get intrinsic motivation that comes from inside of yourself. This type of motivation is generally more personally rewarding. So, for example, extrinsic motivation would be that you are studying for good grades because of the status that it will give you. You would get praise from your friends, your parents, your lecturers for doing well. Intrinsic motivation would then be that you are studying for good grades because of the satisfaction you get from learning new things and from gaining knowledge. What motivates us then? Firstly, the attainment of pleasure. Generally, we are more motivated by knowing that we are going to get something nice out of what we achieve. So the attainment of pleasure, some joy, some kind of reward that you would receive when you reach your goal. We are also motivated by the avoidance of pain. So this is where you want to avoid a negative consequence. So you do what needs to be done so that you don't experience that negativity. We are also motivated by rewards and incentives. If we know that we're going to get a little something for achieving our goals, then that motivates us to working hard as well. We're going to look at SMART goals, which you've probably already heard of, especially if you've been attending our webinars, but this is a very important thing to take note of. Goal setting is a very big part of motivation. You need to know what you want to achieve so that you can keep on track, and this is where we look at the SMART goals. So if you look at goal setting, firstly, your goals need to be specific. What exactly do you want to do? You cannot just say, I want to pass my module, because 40% is a pass and 90% is a pass. So you want to be specific. You want to say, I want to get 75% for this module, for example. Okay, be specific when setting your goals. Secondly, they need to be measurable. You need to be able to measure whether you are on your way to achieving your goal. And you can do this by setting smaller midterm goals or by using something like a to-do list where you can tick off what you have done that day on the way to achieving your goal. Thirdly, your goals need to be achievable. Is this goal realistic for you? You and your friend could have the same goal, but it might be realistic for them and it might not be realistic for you. So you need to make sure that this goal is realistic and achievable for you. It must be a personal goal. Fourth, your goal needs to be relevant. Why does this goal matter? Where does it fit into the bigger picture? And fifth, Your goals need to be time bound. When are you going to complete this goal? You don't just want to set a goal and work on it forever. So you need to set some kind of a deadline so that you know by this time I want to have achieved my goal. If I have not, I need to revise. Why am I not achieving my goal? What do I still need to do? And what time frame am I going to give what's left? Coping with online studying is a challenge for all of our students at the moment, because you are all used to in-contact sessions, and now you have to study on your own at home. And you can feel quite alone studying at home, and then it's difficult to stay motivated. You need at home and sitting with the same struggles. Connect where you can so that you can motivate each other and also keep each other accountable for what needs to be done. When it comes to studying at home, a very important part is time management. It might feel like you've got a lot of time available because you don't have a class timetable that you need to follow at the moment, but you need to make the best use of the time that you have. So use things like to-do lists for every day. Set up a list of what you are going to do on that day. Use timetables or some kind of a planner or calendar to keep up to date with assignments and tests, exam dates, and so on. Stay ahead of on an assignment. Stay ahead so that you have enough time to revise and to go back and adjust where you need to. Prioritize the tasks that you need to do. Start with the most important or the most urgent things first, and then work your way down. And then also write notes. You are getting all of your information electronically, and some of you might be tempted to just save the PowerPoint or the Word document that you get and study from that. But if you actually write your own notes, it makes it easier to retain the information, and that makes it easier to recall the information later as well, because you are viewing those notes in your own handwriting and in your own note-taking style that you have been used to up until now. So even though you're getting electronic notes, still make a point of doing your notes yourself and studying from that. Here are some additional resources that you can look at. A lot of them are YouTube videos, and they are TED Talks as well, on the topic of academic success and motivation, just as an additional resource for you. Thanks, guys. That's all from me.